Hi guys, how are you doing today? This is Abby from Witchcraft Criminal History. How are you doing today? Hopefully you're doing well. Well, this is the first episode of a new series I'm doing on my channel. I've been doing a lot of things on my criminal side, but my witchcraft side has been a little bit, left out. And so I am doing things on deities. So this is also a little bit on history as well. This week we are doing it on the great god Anubis. You might ask me, why Anubis? Why do I start with Anubis? Mainly because with Anubis, I have a lot of respect for Anubis. And he, like a Greek god, what I will be doing next week, I kind of feel sorry for them. And, rightfully so, because with the media today, Anubis is depicted very poorly. That I've only seen, personally, one film which depicted him in a good light and pretty much the right way. And that was The Gods of Egypt. Even though they whitewashed everything, but the character of Anubis was pretty much very accurate. As most of the time, he isn't shown in good light. Like, for example, Mummy's Alive. In Mummy's Alive, which was a kid's cartoon show. I loved that show when I was a kid. Apart from getting the names right for these deities, the depiction of them was very poor. Was very, very, very poor. Their depictions of these deities. Like, for example, with Anubis, they pretty much made Anubis, and what they even called him, a dumb mutt. But they also called Set a dumb mutt, but they mainly called Anubis a dumb mutt. And they also, the way they depicted Anubis in that show as well, Anubis was pretty dumb. Was very, very dumb, very, very stupid. And if Anubis was coming after you, pretty much all you need is a bunch of doggy treats. Just throw a doggy treat, over a cliff, and Anubis is dumb enough to go and chase after it. Like, fair enough, that's a kid's show, but still, that's very inaccurate to Anubis. For starters, Anubis wouldn't be chasing after dog biscuits. But like I said, fair enough, that's a kid's show. It's a kid's show, and it's supposed to be funny. Another show where they had, which is the movie, which they made a very, very wrong depiction of him, was in Mummy Returns. That they even said that the Scorpion King begged the dark god Anubis so that he can stay alive, and he will serve him and he gets Anubis' army. No. That is not Anubis. That is definitely, not Anubis. Set, yes. Especially where this was in the Mummy film. Definitely will be, set. And I think it'd be more likely it would have been set. It would have made sense if they said it was set. But they didn't. They said it was Anubis. And the only thing I could think of is they used Anubis because people know about Anubis, but they don't know about Set. But really, I think they were amending Set. And it's not the first time in films that they go with something where it sounds cooler or looks badass and give it the wrong name or the wrong attributes. Heck, they did that in Jurassic Park. No, they did that with the Velociraptors. Even though we're getting a bit off topic here, but for example, if you want me to demonstrate why film does this. Like a Jurassic Park, like I said, they use, velociraptors. They pretty much got the designs for Deinonychus, which was also a raptor, and gave it the name the Velociraptor because Velociraptor sounded cool, but Deinonychus looked cool, as Velociraptors didn't look cool, so they switched them. And I think that's the same thing what they did with Anubis in the Mummy films. They said it was Anubis doing all this, but once again, I think they were saying, oh, Anubis was doing this, but they did that because the fact is everyone knows Anubis. He's a well-known god. Not many people know about Set. So there's no point saying, oh, the dark god Set. So that could be a plausible way they kind of set poor Anubis up. And, these really, really, upset me why they do this. And, it's still going on today, with the depictions of Anubis. And heck, I even watched one video. And this is to do with Harry Potter, which kind of, is interesting with J.K. Rowling, because J.K. Rowling does tend to like her history. And actually pretty much admits it. And with the veil where Sirius Black disappeared to, according to some theories, the veil was actually belongs to Anubis. That it was Anubis' veil to begin with. And somehow a bunch of wizards from England pinched it from Egypt, or from ancient Egypt, and transported to the Ministry of Magic over in the UK. That the veil was to be attributed to Anubis. Whether that's true or not, I have no idea, but at least J.K. Rowling didn't put Anubis in there. Even though I think out of most people, she'll probably be more truthful about it. Unlike other people. So yeah, there's at least a couple of things with media doing it wrong. And as I said earlier, the only one which really did him justice was the gods of Egypt. That was, very, very accurate. Because Anubis is, he was the god of mummification. And, it was his job to take souls from the living, help them through the gates, from each individual gates, gates of trial, to the very last one. I think it's called the Hall of Two Truths. And when they get to the Hall of Two Truths, there's the scales. Anubis is also called the guardian of the scales, or the god of the scales. And you'll hand over your heart to Anubis. And Anubis will put your heart on scales and see whether it was heavier or lighter to the feather of Ma'at. Ma'at is the goddess of justice and truth. If your heart was heavier, you didn't live a good life. You lived a very sinful life. However, if your heart was heavier than the feather of Ma'at, it wasn't over yet. You can plead to Osiris that you lived a good life. However, if you weren't able to convince him that you lived a good life, Anubis would hand your heart to Ammit, and you will suffer a second death. But during, this process, it wasn't just Osiris, Ammit, Anubis. You also had Thoth. Thoth is a god of wisdom and knew the written word. And he pretty much, scribed everything down. He'd written everything down. And that's what they pretty much, did with that. And if your heart was lighter than the feather of Ma'at, you were granted into the afterlife. Anubis was, for those of you who don't know what Anubis looks like, he has the head of a jackal and a body of a man. And his name translates to input, meaning a royal child, to imp, which means decay. So we put input and nip, or input and imp, which means a royal child, which translates to a royal child to decay. And the reason why they speculate Anubis has the head of a jackal was because in ancient times they saw what they believed to be jackals hanging around tombs and around graveyards. And they believed that these jackals were there to transport the souls of the dead over to the afterlife. And that's how they got the face of Anubis. However, recent evidence has shown that these jackals actually weren't a part of the jackal family. They were, in fact, an ancient type of wolf, which is quite interesting, because jackals have brown hair, Anubis has black hair. And the reason why he had black hair, they said, could be to do with the animal, with the ancient wolf. But also, it could also represent the fertile sands of the Nile. And that's supposed to be, black. Now, Anubis was pretty much, as I said, he was a god of mummification. But he must, how did he get that job? Right, to get that job, we have to delve into some mythology. Alright, and this leads to his parentage. Okay, let's go. No one, to start off, no one really knows who his parentage is. Just stating. But according to one myth, Nephthys wanted to have a child. She wanted to have a child, but she wasn't getting anything from it, Set. Or Set was impudent. Set couldn't have children. So Nephthys decided to shapeshift herself into the goddess Isis. Osiris, believing that Nephthys was Isis, slept with Nephthys. Had no idea he was sleeping with Nephthys. If you ask me, I think that's kind of like sexual assault. Poor Osiris. And, Nephthys fell pregnant because of this. And when she had Anubis, Set got really, really pissed at Osiris. He got angry at his brother Osiris. And Nephthys and Set abandoned Anubis. Anubis was given to Osiris and Isis. And Osiris and Isis, raised Anubis as their son. And technically, if this myth is correct, Anubis is Osiris' son. But because of this, Set really felt that he was betrayed. That he was betrayed by his brother Osiris. So he, if you guys don't know who Set is the god of the desert. He wanted to get back at Osiris, and Set decided to get even with Osiris. So what Set did was that he had a magical box. He brought this magical box to Osiris. And it was a big party, and all the gods, all the goddesses tried to get into this box. Because Set was saying to them, whoever can fit in this box will get this box filled with gold and keep the gold. And of course they all go in there. But it was only designed for one god and one god only. And that was for Osiris. When Osiris got in the box, Set got the lid, lid down, and threw Osiris into the Nile. And because he got thrown into the Nile, Osiris passed away. Anubis at this time was the head of, was the god of the underworld, the god of the dead. And on the behest of Nephthys and Isis, he mummified Osiris to, to hopefully get, an heir for Osiris, apart from Anubis. And to say the least, Set found out about this. Set got very angry, and Osiris got chopped up to a whole heap of little pieces. And during this time with, when Osiris got sent to the underworld, through the mummification, Anubis gave up his throne of the underworld to Osiris. This was something that Anubis did voluntarily. He volunteered to, resign his throne. And he was more than happy to, concentrate on being the god of, mummification, embalming, and help transporting, souls from the living to the dead, and right through the different gates. And that's the reason why he's got that job, what we know about him today. Anubis is one god that doesn't, hold on to power. He doesn't crave power. And because of this, I think it was easier for him, to resign his throne to Osiris. Because, another thing is that Anubis actually, had a lot of respect for Osiris. So doing this was natural for him, and he wanted to do it. So that's the reason, how mummification came to the ancient Egyptians, was through this myth. Because they believe that, he mummified Osiris. But to say the least, that's the only time that Anubis had business with Set. That Set has also tried to attack Anubis. There was one time where he apparently turn himself into a leopard to attack Anubis. To say the least, someone won, and it wasn't Set. And a lot of the Egyptian priests, when they performed the mummification, they always wore a leopard skin or leopard pelt over their clothes when they were doing it. And the reason for that was to to show and to represent Anubis's defeat over, Set. Anubis, defeating Set. Anubis, has a lot of things to do with not only with the mummification process, but also to do with with sense and all that, which he kind of passed down to his daughter Kebushai. Anubis does have a wife. His wife's name is Umput, and Umput is pretty much the female version of Anubis. So, yeah, Anubis is married. But other contestants, of his parentage were, Set. But if you look at, looks, and here's a video, picture of them. You look at them. Anubis and Set look very similar. And could Set be Anubis' father? Could be. We don't know. Another contestant for Anubis' parentage is Bast and Bastet. Bastet, she's a goddess. She's the cat goddess. And one of her things, what she liked doing, she was also a goddess of perfume. And Anubis dealing with, scents and all that, especially with the mummification process. They believe there could be a connection between Anubis and Bastet. There's also some theories saying that Anubis is the son of Ra. And if you ask me, if he's the son of Ra, the chances of his mother being Bastet is quite high, since Bastet or Bast is the wife of Ra. When the Romans came along, poor old Anubis kind of got fused with another deity. He got fused, so to speak, with Hermes. I do not know who I feel sorry for most, Hermes or Anubis. I think I feel sorry for both of them equally, like, why? Fair enough, at this particular time, he was very, very, very popular. His name was Anubis, and he was very, very, very popular. But if you ask me, it feels like monstrosity. Like, why do you do this to Anubis? Why? Why? Anubis was fine before you did this to him. And to say the least, that what, they did later on. So pretty much, later on, in Anubis's, career and his life, he pretty much, shared the role, what he was doing with his family, with Umput and Kebushai. And coming back to, looks department, Kebushai doesn't look anything like her parents, doesn't look like Umput or Anubis, because she's half snake. So they do, they do look a little bit, a bit weird. But all in all, it's a really fascinating god. Like I said, he's a protector. Protects the souls. And really, he's the type of god, who, you probably could trust him, He's the type of god who you could trust. Well, you have to trust him, your soul is in his hands. If you do one thing wrong, consider yourself lunch for Amat. Your lunch. And then Amat the demon will have a nice dinner. And your dinner. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video on Anubis. And next week, I will be talking to you about his Greek counterpart, Hades. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day, and blessed be.